Imagine this: a life where you are no longer tethered to someone else's approval. A life where you've stopped bending over backward, waiting for a sliver of their time. What if, instead of chasing someone's attention, you became the person who commands it effortlessly? Picture this transformation. Doesn't it spark curiosity? Doesn't it make you want to know what that feels like to be free, confident, and in control? But let's be honest, most of us have been there, stuck in the cycle of chasing someone who doesn't see our worth. Maybe you've waited anxiously for a reply, hoping each buzz of your phone brings validation. Maybe you've adjusted your schedule or compromised your values just to keep someone around. How did that feel? Empowering? Or did it slowly chip away at your self-respect? This isn't just about relationships, it's about how we see ourselves. When you stop fighting for their attention, something profound happens. The dynamic shifts. The power you've been handing away is reclaimed piece by piece. You become unshaken, self-assured, and magnetic, not through games, but through authenticity. This journey won't be easy, but by the end, you'll not only see why it's worth it, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. The most powerful lesson: the person you've been searching for all along is already here, it's you. Let's dive into the first step of this transformation. Step 1. Build your emotional vault. Have you ever given away too much of yourself too soon? Maybe you've shared your deepest thoughts, fears, and hopes with someone who didn't truly value them. And when they left, or worse, stayed but dismissed your feelings, didn't it hurt more than you expected? If so, it's not because you cared too much, it's because you didn't protect what is sacred: your emotions. In Stoicism. Why is this so important? Because giving without discernment leaves you vulnerable. Consider this. When you overshare or overinvest in someone who hasn't earned it, you're effectively giving them control over how you feel. If they respond with apathy or dismissal, it shakes you. But what if you didn't allow that access so easily? What if you observed instead of offering? What if you chose to wait and see who truly deserved your trust? Imagine this scenario. Someone new enters your life and you feel an urge to connect. But instead of rushing to share everything, you pause. You hold back, not out of fear, but out of strength. You assess their actions over time. Are they consistent? Do they respect your boundaries? Or are they only interested when it's convenient for them? This restraint isn't a wall to keep people out. It's a filter to ensure only the right ones come in. When you build your emotional vault, you reclaim the power of choice. You're no longer at the mercy of people's fickle interest or lack of respect. You create a space where only those who uplift you, who value your depth, are allowed to stay. This isn't about closing yourself off, it's about opening up to the right people at the right time. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone will like this version of you. Some may pull away when you stop being overly available. Let them. That's your vault doing its job, filtering out those who don't truly value your worth. Isn't it better to lose someone early before they can hurt you deeper? This is not rejection, it's redirection. Building your emotional vault isn't just about relationships with others, it's about your relationship with yourself. The more you protect your emotional energy, the more you'll notice how much you have to give to the things that truly matter. Your goals, your passions, your peace. Isn't that what Stoicism teaches us? To focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. As you begin this practice, ask yourself, who in my life truly respects my boundaries? Who has earned the privilege of seeing the depths of who I am? And most importantly, am I honoring my own worth by being selective? This is only the beginning. Now that your vault is strong, what happens when you start setting clear boundaries for what you will and won't tolerate? That's where we're headed next. Step 2. Create a non-negotiable list. What are you tolerating that you know deep down you shouldn't? Think about the times you've let someone repeatedly cancel plans, disrespect your time, or treat your feelings like an afterthought. Each time a small part of your self-worth slipped away, didn't it? You might have convinced yourself it was fine, that you were being patient, understanding, or even noble. But let's be honest. Did it feel good? Or did it leave you feeling invisible, undervalued, and drained? Here's the truth. When you allow someone to overstep your boundaries, you're sending a message not just to them, but to yourself, that your needs don't matter. Stoicism. A non-negotiable list is a declaration of your worth. It's a set of clear boundaries that you commit to honoring, no matter who challenges them. This isn't about being rigid or unreasonable, it's about self-respect. By defining what you will and won't tolerate, you're not only protecting your peace but also setting the tone for how others treat you. Let's start building your list. Ask yourself, what are the behaviors that hurt you the most? Is it dishonesty? Inconsistency? Being treated as an afterthought? Write them down. Then think about the values you hold sacred: respect, kindness, effort, honesty. These become your non-negotiables. These are the lines that no one, not even someone you care deeply about, is allowed to cross. Imagine a relationship where one of your non-negotiables is consistency. You've noticed that the person you're involved with only reaches out when it's convenient for them. They cancel plans last minute, leaving you waiting and wondering. Before, you might have let it slide, hoping they'd eventually change. But now you've made a promise to yourself. Consistency is non-negotiable. So when it happens again, you speak up, or better yet, you walk away. Not out of anger, but out of respect for yourself. Isn't that freeing? To know that you no longer have to stay in situations that chip away at your dignity. To trust that by holding firm to your standards, you're creating space for people who truly value you. This is what it means to live with intention, a core principle of Stoicism. Of course, enforcing your non-negotiables won't always be easy. You might feel tempted to make exceptions for someone you care about, thinking maybe this time will be different. When you start living by your non-negotiables, something incredible happens. The people who don't respect you will naturally drift away. And while that may sting at first, it's a blessing in disguise. Because now, you're making room for the kind of connections you deserve. The ones built on mutual respect and genuine care. Doesn't that sound like a life worth living? Take a moment to reflect. What are your non-negotiables? Have you been honoring them? Or have you allowed others to trample them, leaving you feeling less than you are? Write them down, declare them, share them in the comments below if you feel bold enough. There's power in putting your boundaries into words and saying, this is who I am, and this is what I deserve. If this resonates with you, let's spread the message. Hit the like button if you're ready to reclaim your worth. Share your thoughts below. What's one non-negotiable you're committing to today? Let's inspire each other to live with dignity and purpose. And if you haven't already, subscribe to join this journey of empowerment. Together, we're redefining what it means to stand in our power. The next step, becoming someone who naturally commands respect, not through demands, but through your presence and actions. Stay with me. It only gets better from here. Step 3. Operate like a VIP. Think about the people who truly command respect. They don't chase approval or scramble for attention. Instead, they walk into a room with quiet confidence, assured of their value. They don't beg to be noticed. They're noticed because of the way they carry themselves. What if you could embody that same energy, not through arrogance, but through a grounded sense of worth? When you stop fighting for someone's attention and start operating like a VIP, everything changes. The VIP isn't desperate for anyone's time because they know their own time is valuable. They prioritize their goals, nurture their passions, and fill their lives with meaning. In doing so, they naturally attract others who recognize and admire their self-assuredness. It's not a game, it's a reflection of how much they respect themselves. Now, imagine applying this mindset to your own life. Are you constantly initiating contact, bending your schedule to accommodate someone else, or making every effort to keep the connection alive? How does that feel? Exhausting, isn't it? And yet, you've probably justified it as being considerate or putting in effort. But let's be honest, would a VIP behave this way? Or would they hold their head high, knowing that their worth isn't measured by how much they chase? Operating like a VIP doesn't mean being unkind or aloof. It means valuing yourself enough to stop overextending for people who wouldn't do the same for you. It's about striking a balance, being generous with your time and energy for those who earn it, but unapologetically withholding it from those who take it for granted. Consider this. How often have you adjusted your availability just to accommodate someone else? Did they appreciate it, or did they come to expect it? A VIP wouldn't jump at every opportunity to please someone. Instead, they'd carefully decide where to direct their energy, choosing only the connections that align with their values and priorities. What happens when you start embodying this mindset? The dynamic shifts. Those who once saw you as overly available begin to notice the change. They sense your newfound confidence and respect for your own boundaries. It might unsettle them at first. They're no longer in control of your time and attention. But that's exactly the point. You've stopped bending, and in doing so, you've started commanding respect. Let's take this further. A VIP invests in themselves. They set goals, pursue their passions, and cultivate a life that excites them. What would that look like for you? Maybe it's taking a course you've always wanted to try, reconnecting with hobbies that bring you joy, or simply spending time in reflection, clarifying what truly matters to you. When you focus on building a life you love, you become magnetic, not because you're seeking attention, but because your energy draws people in. The beauty of operating like a VIP is that it creates a ripple effect. As you elevate your standards, the people around you either rise to meet them or naturally drift away. And while it may be hard to watch some relationships fade, isn't it better to surround yourself with those who genuinely value you? Isn't that what a life of integrity looks like? Here's a question for you. What would it take for you to start operating like a VIP today? Could you stop chasing and start choosing? Could you shift your focus from trying to be liked to simply being yourself, unapologetically? This transformation isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about rediscovering who you've always been but may have forgotten in the pursuit of someone else's approval. When you stop fighting for their attention and start operating like a VIP, you reclaim the power you've been giving away. And here's the best part. When you live with this level of confidence and self-respect, the right people, those who truly see and appreciate your worth, will naturally gravitate toward you. Why? Because respect is earned, not begged for, and you've stopped begging. So where do we go from here? Next, we'll explore a concept that takes this transformation even further. How to make yourself scarce in a way that amplifies your value. Stay with me. The journey is just beginning. Step 4. Invest in the scarcity principle. Have you ever noticed how people tend to value what they can't easily have? It's human nature. A rare gem commands more awe than a pebble found on any sidewalk. This same principle applies to relationships and attention. When you're always available, always eager, and always present, your time and energy can start to feel like that pebble taken for granted. But when you step back and make yourself less accessible, something remarkable happens. You transform from ordinary to extraordinary in their eyes. This is the scarcity principle. The less available you are, the more valuable your presence becomes. It's not about manipulation or playing games, it's about reminding others and yourself that your time and energy are finite resources. And anything finite is inherently precious. Think about a time when you made yourself overly accessible. Did they appreciate your efforts, or did they start expecting them? Perhaps they stopped valuing the effort you put in because it was always there, always ready, like a tap you could turn on and off. Now consider what happens when that tap suddenly slows to a trickle. Wouldn't they notice? Wouldn't they start to wonder what changed? When you invest in the scarcity principle, you're making a statement. My time is not unlimited. It's not something to be taken lightly. This isn't about punishing others. It's about setting a boundary that elevates how your presence is perceived. By creating space, you give others the opportunity to miss you, to reflect on the value you bring, and to put in the effort to keep you in their lives. But how do you apply the scarcity principle in a way that feels authentic and not forced? It starts with small shifts. If you're always the first to text, let them initiate the conversation. If you're constantly rearranging your schedule to accommodate someone else, start prioritizing your own plans. If you've been giving endless energy to someone who offers little in return, begin to redirect that energy toward yourself. What happens when you do this? You disrupt the patterns they've come to rely on, and in doing so, you shift the dynamic. This isn't about disappearing entirely or cutting people off. It's about creating balance. When your availability becomes selective, it commands attention. Suddenly, your presence feels less predictable, more special. And isn't that what true connection is about? Mutual effort, mutual appreciation, and a shared recognition of each other's value. The beauty of the scarcity principle is that it doesn't just affect how others perceive you, it transforms how you perceive yourself. When you start to say no to things that drain you, when you start choosing quality over quantity, you begin to see your time as something sacred. Isn't that a powerful shift? Instead of scattering your energy on people who don't appreciate it, you conserve it for what truly matters. Your passions, your goals, your peace. And here's where Stoicism comes into play. The ancient Stoics understood the importance of prioritizing what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. You can't control how someone else responds to your newfound scarcity, but you can control how you honor your boundaries. You can decide that your time and energy will no longer be spent chasing approval or attention. Instead, you'll invest it in yourself, in your growth, and in the connections that align with your values. Ask yourself, how often have I made myself too available? Have I allowed my presence to feel like an expectation rather than a privilege? And what would happen if I started to pull back, not out of malice, but out of self-respect? When you embrace this principle, the people who truly value you will rise to meet you, and those who don't, they'll fall away, leaving you with the clarity to focus on what truly matters. The scarcity principle isn't about withholding to manipulate, it's about protecting your energy so that it can thrive where it's most valued. As you reflect on this shift, consider what scarcity could look like in your life. What small step could you take today to remind yourself and others that your time and energy are not infinite? Once you do, you'll begin to notice a profound change in how people respond to you. And more importantly, you'll notice a change in how you respond to yourself. Next, we'll explore how breaking out of predictable patterns, those habits that others have come to expect from you, can create even more intrigue and respect. Stay with me, because the journey to reclaiming your power is far from over. Step 5. Disrupt their expectations. Predictability is comforting, isn't it? But comfort often breeds complacency. If someone knows exactly how you'll react, how you'll behave, or when you'll be available, they begin to take you for granted. Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle where you're always the one to reach out, always the one to say yes, and always the one bending over backward to keep a connection alive? How did that feel? Empowering or exhausting? Here's the truth. Predictability can kill attraction and respect. When you're always available, always accommodating, there's no mystery, no spark. Disrupting their expectations means shaking up that dynamic. It means breaking out of the patterns that make you predictable and showing them a side of you they never expected, a side that's strong, self-assured, and unapologetic. Imagine this: you've always been the one to send the first text or make the first move. What happens if you stop? At first they might not notice, but over time they'll start to wonder, why haven't I heard from them? Did I do something wrong? That curiosity plants a seed of intrigue. Suddenly you're not so easy to figure out. And that unpredictability? It's magnetic. This isn't about playing games or withholding affection. It's about shifting the focus back to yourself. Instead of reacting to their every whim, you create space for them to come to you. Instead of being the one who's always there, you become the one they can't stop thinking about. Isn't that a more balanced dynamic? Here's an example. If they're used to you replying to their messages immediately, try waiting a little longer. Not out of spite, but because you're genuinely busy investing in yourself. Or if they're used to you always saying yes to their plans, start prioritizing your own. When you disrupt their expectations, you create a sense of wonder and respect. They begin to realize they can't take you for granted anymore. But disrupting their expectations isn't just about them, it's about you. It's about breaking free from the habits that have kept you stuck. Think about the times you've sacrificed your own needs just to keep someone happy. How did that serve you? Did it lead to deeper connection, or did it leave you feeling drained? By flipping the script, you're reclaiming your energy and setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. Here's a question to consider. What patterns in your life are holding you back? Are you always the one making plans, apologizing first, or giving more than you receive? And what would happen if you stopped? If you gave them the space to step up or to step out? Wouldn't that tell you everything you need to know about their true intentions? When you start disrupting expectations, some people may resist. They may question your changes, even push back against them. That's normal, but it's also a sign that the dynamic is shifting. And isn't that the goal? To create a relationship dynamic that's built on mutual respect and effort, not one-sided pursuit. If this resonates with you, let's start a conversation. Drop a comment below and share one way you plan to disrupt the expectations in your life. Maybe it's taking a step back from always being the first to reach out, or perhaps it's setting boundaries that you've been afraid to enforce. Let's inspire each other to break free from old patterns and step into our power. And if this idea of disrupting expectations speaks to you, don't forget to like this video. Your support helps us spread this message to others who need it. Together, we can create a community of people who value themselves and their time. Next, we'll explore how to take this newfound balance even further by learning the art of silence, and why it's one of the most powerful tools you have. Stay with me. The journey continues. Step 6. Turn silence into your superpower. In a world where everyone seems to fear silence, where every pause must be filled with words, notifications, or gestures, imagine the strength it takes to say nothing at all. Silence, when wielded with intention, is a powerful statement. It doesn't signify defeat or indifference, it signifies control, confidence, and clarity. Have you ever rushed to respond to someone, fearing that a delayed reply might upset them, or felt the need to explain yourself endlessly just to avoid the discomfort of being misunderstood? What if, instead, you allowed silence to speak for you? What if, instead of filling every gap, you simply waited, letting the weight of your silence create intrigue, reflection, and even respect? When you stop fighting for their attention, silence becomes your ally. It allows you to reclaim your space and your peace. It says, I don't need to fight for your validation. I don't need to chase you or explain myself. I know my worth, and I'll let my presence or absence speak for itself. This is the essence of Stoicism, to act with measured intention and to find strength in restraint. Imagine this. You've always been quick to respond to their texts, keeping the conversation alive, no matter how little effort they've shown in return. What happens if you don't reply immediately? What happens if you let their message sit unanswered for a while? At first, they might wonder if something is wrong. But as the silence stretches, they'll begin to reflect on their own actions or lack thereof. That silence creates a void, and in that void, they come to realize how much they've relied on your energy to sustain the connection. This isn't about ignoring people to make a point. It's about breaking the cycle of overinvesting in those who don't reciprocate. Silence gives you the space to observe instead of react. It allows you to see the situation clearly, without the noise of constant interaction clouding your judgment. Think about the times when silence has made you pause. Maybe it was after a disagreement, when someone chose not to argue back but instead left the conversation unresolved. Didn't that silence linger with you, forcing you to reflect on your own words? Or consider a time when someone you were close to stopped reaching out. Didn't their absence make you wonder why, and perhaps even miss them more? This is the power of silence. It creates a space for reflection, for recalibration, and sometimes for longing. It forces others to confront the reality of your absence rather than taking your presence for granted. But silence isn't just a tool for others. It's a gift for yourself. When you choose silence, you give yourself time to process, to heal, and to refocus. You're no longer reacting to every situation or person who demands your energy. Instead, you're choosing when and where to engage based on what serves your peace. In Stoicism, this concept is akin to the idea of temperance, the ability to pause, to hold back, and to act with intention rather than impulse. Silence teaches you to value your words. your time and your energy. It's a reminder that you don't need to fill every moment with noise to feel heard or valued. Of course, practicing silence can feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry that it will be misinterpreted or that it will create distance. But here's the truth. If someone values you, they'll respect your silence. They'll recognize it as a moment of strength, not weakness. And if they don't, then perhaps your silence is revealing a truth you needed to see. Ask yourself, when was the last time I used silence intentionally? Have I been rushing to fill gaps out of fear of being misunderstood or forgotten? And what would happen if I paused, if I let the silence carry the weight of what I truly feel? Turning silence into your superpower doesn't mean shutting people out or avoiding communication. It means choosing your moments, valuing your energy, and letting your presence or your absence speak louder than words. The result: a shift in how others perceive you, and a deep sense of peace in how you perceive yourself. Step 7. Build your emotional vault. Your emotions are sacred. They're the core of your being, the most intimate part of who you are. Yet, how often have you handed over the keys to that sacred vault without question? How often have you allowed someone access to your deepest feelings only to find them mishandled, dismissed, or even weaponized against you? Building your emotional vault means reclaiming control over who gets to see the truest parts of you. It's about discerning who deserves access to your thoughts, feelings, and vulnerabilities. And it starts with one simple but profound realization: not everyone is worthy of your trust. Imagine your emotions as treasures locked away in a secure vault. Would you give the combination to just anyone? Or would you ensure that only those who have proven their reliability, respect, and care can enter? This vault is not a wall meant to shut others out. It's a boundary meant to protect your peace. But why is this vault so necessary? Because when you allow the wrong people in, you open yourself up to unnecessary pain. Have you ever found yourself oversharing with someone who didn't value your words? Or investing emotionally in someone who offered little in return? How did that feel? Draining? Frustrating? Perhaps even dehumanizing? That's what happens when your vault is left unguarded. To build your emotional vault, start by observing before sharing. In the early stages of a connection, whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, or professional partnership, resist the urge to reveal too much too soon. Watch how the other person behaves. Are they consistent? Are they respectful of your boundaries? Do they offer the same level of effort and vulnerability that you do? Their actions, not their words, will tell you whether they're worthy of access. And here's an important truth. Guarding your vault doesn't make you cold or distant. It makes you discerning. Those who are meant to be in your life will understand and respect the time it takes for you to open up. They won't push or demand access. They'll earn it through their actions. Isn't it better to build relationships on a foundation of mutual respect rather than on haste or obligation? Building your vault also involves setting internal boundaries. This means not just protecting your emotions from others, but from yourself as well. How often have you let your own fears or insecurities dictate your actions, opening your vault prematurely out of a need for validation? When you prioritize your emotional well-being, you begin to recognize those impulses for what they are: temporary feelings that don't require immediate action. Instead, you pause, reflect, and decide what aligns with your values. This practice is deeply rooted in Stoicism. But building your vault isn't just about keeping harmful influences out. It's about creating a sanctuary within. What brings you peace? What inspires joy? These are the treasures that belong in your vault. Nurture them, protect them, and let them guide your actions. When your vault is filled with positive energy and self-respect, it becomes easier to recognize and reject anything that threatens to disrupt it. As you strengthen your vault, you may notice a shift in your relationships. Some people may drift away when they realize they can no longer access your emotions as freely as before. Let them. Those who remain, the ones who respect your boundaries and honor your worth, are the ones who truly belong. Ask yourself, who currently has access to my emotional vault? Have they earned that privilege, or have I given it away too freely? And more importantly, am I protecting my peace by being selective about who I let in? The stronger your emotional vault, the more secure you'll feel in your inner interactions. No longer will you feel the need to seek approval or validation from others. Instead, you'll find it within yourself, in the sanctuary you've built. And from that place of strength, you'll begin to make choices that align with your highest good. Next, we'll explore how to take this newfound emotional strength and use it to pivot gracefully in any situation, shifting focus and reclaiming power when things no longer serve you. Stay with me. Your transformation is gaining momentum. Step 8. Embody the pivot. Life doesn't always go as planned. People disappoint us, relationships change, and situations that once felt aligned can suddenly feel out of place. The question is, when that moment comes, will you cling to what no longer serves you, or will you pivot? Will you let go with grace, or will you keep fighting a losing battle? The pivot is one of the most empowering moves you can make. It's the ability to shift your focus, energy, and direction when something or someone fails to meet your values or respect your worth. It's not about giving up. It's about moving forward with clarity and purpose. And when you master this skill, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace. Have you ever found yourself pouring effort into a connection that felt one-sided? Maybe you kept reaching out, making plans, or holding on to hope that they would finally change. How did that feel? Likely exhausting, right? The truth is, the more you invest in something that doesn't serve you, the more drained you become. What if, instead, you chose to pivot? When you embody the pivot, you stop waiting for others to change. Instead, you take control of your own actions. You shift your focus away from those who don't value you and toward the people and pursuits that do. It's not about closing the door on someone with anger or resentment. It's about gracefully walking away from what no longer aligns with your self-respect. Imagine this. Someone in your life has been distant and inconsistent. They've shown flashes of effort but never enough to truly meet you where you are. Instead of chasing them or hoping for more, you pivot. You redirect your energy toward your own goals, passions, and the people who actively bring value to your life. How does that feel? Liberating, isn't it? The beauty of the pivot is that it's not just about letting go, it's about creating space for something better. When you stop holding on to what's slipping away, your hands become free to grasp new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences. Isn't that what Stoicism? But here's the challenge. Pivoting requires courage. It means facing the fear of uncertainty and trusting that what lies ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. It's natural to feel hesitant, to wonder, what if I make the wrong choice? But the wrong choice isn't walking away from what doesn't serve you. The wrong choice is staying stuck, hoping for change that may never come. When you embody the pivot, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. You're telling the world, I value myself too much to stay where I'm not respected. And you're reminding yourself that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval or attention. Isn't that a life worth living? One where you're not chasing, but choosing. As you consider this, ask yourself, where in my life do I need to pivot? Is there a relationship, a situation, or a pattern that no longer aligns with who I want to be? And what's stopping me from letting go? Write it down. Reflect on it. And if you feel ready, share it in the comments below. Sometimes declaring your decision publicly can be the first step toward change. If this idea resonates with you, hit the like button and let me know you're ready to pivot. Your support helps this message reach others who may be struggling with the same challenges. Together, we can build a community of people who choose growth over stagnation, courage over comfort, and respect over regret. Next, we'll explore the ultimate act of self-respect, owning your exit. When you learn to leave situations with grace and purpose, you'll discover a new level of empowerment. Stay with me, your transformation is nearly complete. Step 9. Own your exit. There comes a moment in every journey of self-respect when you realize staying is no longer an option. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or even a job, there's a point where the cost of remaining outweighs the fear of leaving. Owning your exit is not about walking away in anger or frustration, it's about leaving with dignity, clarity, and purpose. When you own your exit, you're making a profound statement. I value myself enough to step away from what doesn't serve me. It's not an easy decision. It requires strength to acknowledge when something has run its course, and even greater strength to act on that realization. But isn't that the ultimate act of self-love? To prioritize your peace over someone else's convenience. Think about the times you've stayed too long in a situation that no longer felt right. Maybe it was a relationship where you gave more than you received, or a friendship where you felt used instead of appreciated. What kept you there? Was it fear of the unknown, a sense of obligation, or perhaps the hope that things would change? And yet, how did staying make you feel? Owning your exit isn't about giving up, it's about letting go. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are finite and refusing to waste them on anything that doesn't align with your values. It's about choosing to walk away, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to demand better. But how do you leave with grace? First, you center yourself. Take time to reflect on your decision. Are you leaving out of anger, or are you leaving because you know it's the right thing for your growth? Stoicism teaches us to act from a place of reason, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Apply this wisdom to your exit. Leave not to hurt, but to heal. Next, you communicate your decision with clarity. Whether it's a simple goodbye or a heartfelt explanation, speak your truth. But remember, your worth isn't up for debate. You don't need to justify your decision or seek their approval. Your exit is yours to own. And finally, you let go fully and completely. This means no lingering, no second guessing, and no reopening doors that are meant to stay closed. When you walk away, you're not just leaving a situation behind. You're stepping into a new chapter of your life, one where your time, energy, and peace are respected. Owning your exit isn't just about leaving. It's about how you leave. It's about carrying yourself with dignity, even when the other party doesn't. It's about resisting the urge to burn bridges, knowing that the strength of your exit speaks louder than words ever could. And most importantly, it's about trusting that what lies ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that's holding me back? Is there a situation I need to leave in order to honor my self-worth? And if so, what's stopping me from taking that step? Reflect on this, write it down. And when the time comes, step forward with confidence. When you own your exit, you reclaim your power in the most profound way. You remind yourself and the world that you are not a doormat, but a force to be reckoned with. And from that place of strength, you're ready to embrace whatever comes next. As this transformation journey comes to an end, reflect on how far you've come. You've stopped chasing, set boundaries, and reclaimed your worth. You've disrupted patterns, embraced silence, and learned when to walk away. And now you stand taller, wiser, and more in control of your life than ever before. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. You've reached the end of this journey, but in many ways it's just the beginning. Along the way, you've learned to stop chasing after someone else's attention, to reclaim your power, and to refocus on what truly matters, yourself. This transformation isn't about punishing others or seeking revenge. It's about embracing the truth of who you are and living with self-respect, confidence, and clarity. As you reflect on the steps we've explored, building your emotional vault, setting non-negotiable boundaries, operating like a VIP, and even owning your exit, what resonates with you the most? Perhaps it's the idea of silence as a superpower, or the pivot as a graceful way to move forward. Perhaps it's the realization that your worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. Whatever it may be, carry these lessons with you. They are not quick fixes or temporary strategies. They are principles grounded in Stoicism, a philosophy of self-mastery, resilience, and virtue. These steps are about living a life of integrity, where you honor your time, energy, and emotions as the valuable resources they are. Now, as you move forward, remember this. The power has always been within you. It wasn't in their attention or their approval. It was in your ability to stand tall, set boundaries, and walk away when necessary. That's the strength you've reclaimed. and it's the strength that will carry you into a future filled with respect and fulfillment. So let me leave you with a challenge. Reflect on one change you can make today to honor your self-worth. Whether it's setting a new boundary, taking a step back, or simply pausing to consider what you deserve, take that step with confidence. And as you do, know that you're not alone in this journey. Many others are walking the same path, choosing to respect themselves and demand more from life. If this message resonates with you, let's continue the conversation. Share your reflections or your first step in the comments. Together, we can inspire each other to live lives rooted in dignity and self-respect. Thank you for being here, for choosing growth, and for embracing the power of transformation. If you found this journey valuable, don't forget to like this content and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's create a ripple effect of self-worth and empowerment. And finally, as you step into this new chapter, know this: you are not a doormat. You are a force. You are someone who commands respect, chooses self-love, and walks through life with grace and confidence. Keep growing, keep thriving, and never settle for less than you deserve. Here's to the next chapter of your journey. Stay strong, stay true, and stay you.